Okay.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago, coming from the 606 Media Studios. This is the TCSF podcast with Big Z. In the house this week, we got Ivan from a bunch of different podcasts, apparently. You can see him on the Tape Never Lies podcast and his new adventure, which we'll get into a little bit later, so we can plug him and give him his flowers for his new show, which is amazing. Episode 203 is brought to you by 606 Media, true Chicago sports fans, and Great Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to greatclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Go and get your shirts now. If you're watching on the Facebook, YouTube, or that X, hit that subscribe button. Hit that smash that like button. You want to send some coin? Take some coin. So if it's paper, Venmo, whatever it is, you want to send them some money, we'll take it. If you're on your favorite podcast app, remember to give us a 5-star review. It shoots us up on the charts and helps us be more visible to everybody. And if you want to support us through the app, you can support us for as little 99 cents a month. You can go over to anchor.fm/True Chicago Sports Fans. And, it's 99 cents a month. That's a very, very small amount of sacrifice you can make. Gas is like $6 a gallon. You can give us $1. Don't worry about that. And then we also have a bunch of new shows. We have my new adventure. It's called Impodscade with Big Z. So subscribe to that one. That's strictly on all the podcasts, and you can find me on YouTube. You can watch me do all my thing over there. I deep dive into my guests' lives, their stories. We feature engaging discussions, interviews featuring amazing people I come across all over life. And a healthy dose of humor is always infused. We also have the No Water No Weekend podcast with Steven and Sean, a pop culture forward podcast that talks about all different funny stuff. You can find that on your favorite podcast app. And this is where we plug in Ivan's new show, also now part of the 606 family. Go ahead, Ivan.
Yeah, so new show is called Local Sports Tonight with Ivan Vargas. I'll be popping up Fridays. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit I guess exclusive is the word, just limited. But let's say the Cubs are throwing a no-hitter that night or something like that. I will pop up. You know what I mean? I will have it. But my main show will be at Friday nights, trying to get like all the, Chicago sports throughout the week. Just all the news that you've heard or might have heard or just in passing through. Just get you all the information that you guys would obviously want to know. Especially with the Bears coming up and, with the Cubs and, with this Cubs Sox draft, I'm happy for both teams, so there's so much going on right now. And I just want to go ahead and, do something more and talk more about Chicago sports. And yeah, it's been fun. And obviously love being on 606 Media. It's you've been obviously a huge help. So it's been great. Like the show's just it's a crawling start, but hey man, like that's how things get built,
There's only the most important step on a journey is the first step. So definitely jump on it, subscribe, support, support your friends, especially with artists who are trying to do what they're doing.
Definitely local sports tonight with Ivan Vargas is the YouTube channel, so please subscribe.
There you go. Hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into some sports. Episode 203, the mid-season recap is it's a lot of good news and a lot of bad news. So the Chicago Bulls, they start the movement, and we see the summer league get underway. Angel Reese had her double-double streak ended in a controversial way. I'm going to say that it was controversial. Baseball teams, it's all-star break, and we're filming right now while the home run derby is going on, but we don't want to give that away. what does it mean for our future of our teams? Right now, we know the White Sox are sellers. The Cubs look more like a seller right now. And then we have the draft, which just concluded yesterday. So lots of baseball news. And then we'll wrap it up with, our staple is what we're watching. So what are you watching that isn't sports? But let's start off with our Chicago Sky. The Sky recently faced the New York Liberty, losing 81-67. Rookie Angel Reese double streak ended at 15 games during this matchup. And it was dicey at the end of the game because they literally had all 5 players on her and the closing seconds where she needed a basket to make that double. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I had this Friday. I had my thoughts on and I'll take a step back from not this game but the previous game where she demanded the ball in the paint late in the game when they were up, but 7. The game was out of reach.
Yeah, right.
There was going to be there was going to be no foul to continue. There was nothing. The game was over. She demanded the ball. She drew a foul. She got the free throw. She got the double. She continued the streak.
Right.
I don't care if that's what she did. Like I don't personally think that that's a bad thing. Like that to me shows me that she cares about something. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I get it's an individual stat, but right now, like I said before, you have a Bird Magic type of dynamic and Caitlin Clark, and regardless of the if you want to call it pat statting and stuff like that, like I personally don't like the idea of pat statting. And I'm not gonna, whether she is or she isn't. That's not what I'm talking about right here. It's that situation right then and there where she demanded the ball, she got the double. She got the double. She continued to streak. What was the New York Liberty going to do if that is the case? If that's how you're going to treat it all the way to the end, there's nothing more than to put 5 on you, so you don't get that double. Because I don't think the New York Liberty took it lightly. I think they saw it as more of because a lot of people saw it as cheap, and you did it. You got a cheap foul, and it was a cheap, continuation of the record.
Right.
Personally, I don't care. But with that being said, if that's what you're going to do, and people see that, oh, you best believe they're going to come at your ass next time, and that's what they did.
Yeah, they did. Obviously, the game was out of hand. They're up 14, and they were like, "You're not on our court. It's not going to happen on our court." And I can respect the Liberty saying no more. You're not going to do it here. You're not going to overshadow our win with your double. I completely understand that, but I also understand her. She's like, "Hey, I'm making history here as a rookie. I just shattered someone's record, and I'm going to set my own record and set my own path to say, hey, I'm one of the greats." I'm all for that. Again, the more exposure these ladies get and more eyeballs to the sport, the better everyone will be. So the hating between, the hate that she gets, that she's padding her stats, come on. The boys do that all the time. The boys, a triple double is padding your stats. Let's be honest. How many times you're like, oh, he's a rebound away or an assist away, and then they give it to him.
That's true.
They do it too. LeBron does it. Like every major. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I think it's the way that they're like the way that people are portraying her padding her stats. They're like because the game prior they were asking why people on Twitter and on the internet were asking why did she bench Cardozo majority of the game and put Reese in there Reese in there just for to get it. That's kind of what people are looking at.
Cardozo's playing on one leg still.
No, I understand that, but for me, it's like people are taking, hey, why is she like if Cardozo's on the court, then put her out on the court. Some people take it as that maybe she's getting more time than she deserves because they want to give her more of that shine and more, give her all the stats. They want to try to pad it as much as they can. Like I said, for me, that sounds like a hell of a lot. You know what I mean? Like to do, and it sounds like to me that would be malpractice as a coach. In garbage time, you're trying to pad your stats of one of your best players, and let's say God forbid something were to happen, and that that is right. That's
Derrick Rose blows out his knee, and then we can no longer go to the finals.
Exactly. So, like I said, it to me that's malpractice as a coach if you're doing that. So I would tread lightly, I guess, with those accusations, but I'll say this: it means a hell of a lot to her because it's pretty much what she's holding on to put out there. Hey, I should be the rookie of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at all the stats as a whole,
Yeah.
Caitlin's just leading in way too many. Like, she's just leading in more. She's just doing more for her team. And people wanted to point to the record. Well, the Indiana Fever's record is way better now. So, like,
Yeah.
the issues with the issues with people in the sky and with Reese are because like I think, and I keep saying it, I just wanted to go back to basketball because I think these two girls can have a storyline in the league that people will watch,
Yeah.
that people will grow with them because they're going to build these two teams up to try to go at each other. They're both in the Midwest. You have
Yeah.
that Midwestern rivalry already built in there. It's perfect. So focus on the basketball. That's my opinion on the whole thing.
It,
Focus
re-
on the basketball.
it really is. I totally agree with you. And it's just like when we grew up in the 90s, like, all right, who's playing Christmas Day? Oh, it's Bulls,
Mhm.
Lakers. Oh my God. Bulls, Celtics. Oh my God. There's a rivalry because of the players that are there. You don't care about their stats. You just care about a good, exciting game. You want your team to win, obviously, right? And Jordan usually came out on top. But we're looking at, all right, there's a rivalry there. Eyes are gonna watch it. People are gonna make it a must see TV, and that's what these two teams are, and these two players are. They are must see TV. So stop trying to divide them. Enjoy the basketball, and just go
Mhm.
along for the ride. It's very simple. Very simple.
Yeah.
The Sky are 9-14, as you alluded earlier. So there's not a lot of teams in the WNBA, so pretty much just about everybody makes the damn playoffs.
Mhm.
But will they make the playoffs? Who knows? And I really don't really care. I rather they continue to lose and get a higher draft pick to build on what they have going on.
They
If
have,
they have,
yeah,
yeah,
they have the young talent, man. Like it's like I said, yeah, it's not like I don't personally like hate or dislike Angel Reese. I just am like stop with some of the child. Like maybe I think you're just a little too jealous. You know what I'm saying? Like you have already established yourself fashion wise.
hmm
You've even outside of the WNBA, you've established yourself in all these different types of things. Kind of take pride in that and focus on you instead of worrying about the shine that Caitlin's getting. Like that's just me. Like that's how
yeah.
I see it. Is there's too much
It's a bit of
jealousy?
immaturity, and then
Yeah.
we see that with young guys going into NBA. They're
Oh yeah.
very immature, so we see that. So I
Mhm.
mean, she'll grow up, and I mean, also she didn't really have a. I don't know. She really didn't have a mentor because she just came into the league right after. Excuse me, right after the draft, where most of these guys they do have a mentor or someone they looked up to in the NBA or they mimicked. Kobe mimicked Michael. And he brought in. He mentored Tatum and so forth. And if you look at the way those guys talk very similarly. They act very similarly, very professional, and they don't try to speak to divide.
Mhm.
And they also take accountability for their actions. Yeah, we lost this game. It's on me. But
Mhm.
Kobe, but you scored 81. Yeah, it's on me. It doesn't matter. And that's what she has to grow up and be able to do that. And then that's going to take some time. But I do wish Cordorso would to step up a lot more. Her being the higher draft pick, the taller, bigger female on the team, she should be averaging a double double. She's the
Mhm.
highly touted one that got drafted higher. You definitely should be putting up a double double. You have the Twin Towers. Let's go. Feed
What's
them.
up with that leg? Like that's kind of like where I'm at. Like what's up with that leg?
Yeah.
If that's really the case, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you alluded to it earlier.
Yeah.
What's up with that leg? Because if it's more serious than it is, then maybe she should just sit down
Shut it down.
and like you're such a high, like you said, you're the higher draft pick. You were the big piece. Like
Yeah.
you were the big piece. You were the piece they couldn't miss. Right. And they knew they had an opportunity to get another really good piece. They didn't know whether it was going to be Angel or not. I'm sure they targeted Angel, obviously.
Right.
They scouted her. But Cordozo, being a national champion, being as dominant as she was, you know what I
Drop,
mean, throughout the women's tournament.
drop to 8.
Yeah.
That's saying something. That maybe there was character issues that they were
Yeah.
worried about.
Maybe.
And that could have been it. Let's transition over to the Chicago Bulls. We're still staying with basketball. The summer league has started. Our draft pick Matas. How do you say it? Bazulis? I can't say his name yet. Is it Matas Bazulis?
Bullis.
E
I'm gonna screw
U
it up.
Z E L I Yeah, let's do it.
Bullis.
And
Buzzes.
Mata's the bull. Look at that. I got him a nickname. Mata's the bull.
Mata's the bull. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but he scored like 28 in his last game. I mean, he was over there shaking and baking. He looks pretty
Hmm.
good. But I don't. I take those games with a grain of salt. Everyone's all on LeBron James, Bronny James, because he's like, oh, he
Hmm.
scored 4 points, scored 8 points. Like summer league really doesn't matter. I remember when Larry Markin was scoring 31 on these guys. Okay, he still didn't develop with the Bulls until he left.
Hmm.
It just really, and then you also have Billy Donovan's the third as the coach. Talk about nepotism,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
is the Bulls. What did I expect? It is the Bulls.
It's the
I like the
Bulls,
kid. I
but
like the kid.
you know what? You familiarity, and we talked about development. That can play a part. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like yes, there's got obviously some nepotism there, but like if the message is consistent
yeah,
and
streamlined. Yeah, all the way down.
and it's streamlined all the way down, and guys can start to gravitate and grasp the concepts, and it starts to become smoother and the communications cleaner. Well, then yeah, I would definitely like that idea of keeping somebody that's that close or that knows that much about the bull system and the coaches system,
Yeah, Donovan says.
right, regardless of who they are. But yeah, I'm all for it. Like I really, as long as as long as the communication and the guys are developing, awesome. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, I really think, and I'm making light jokes of it because it
Hmm.
is the Bulls and that's all they do, or the Reinsdorf teams. But what I was looking at is that if we're gonna see a different Bulls team. They're gonna get, this is a youth movement. They're gonna get younger. Obviously, Kobe's gonna be the elder statements because they're gonna get rid of Levine. They're gonna get rid of Vooch, and you're gonna have a running gunning team. But is it beneficial to win if you're trying to get flag in the next year's draft with the number one pick? It's going to be hard with Giddy, who's playing very well in the Olympics. The trials over there. It was they played Australia played USA, and he was Giddy was doing his thing out there. And then
Hmm.
you have Bruzelis, also a good player. You have Kobe, you have Io, you have Patrick Williams, you have all these young pieces. Is Lonzo coming back? What difference is that going to make? It's a lot of question marks to a team that is trying to, I would say, retool, because it's not really a tear down, it's a retool. Um, and again, I don't want to be stuck in the middle, which is where the Bulls are usually at. They're usually stuck in that 6, 7, 8 seed, and then they get a 8 to 10 or 12
Hmm.
pick, and then we're stuck over and over and just being in the middle, and it's just so frustrating. If we're gonna tear it down to the foundation. Let's go build it from scratch. Do it OKC style. Get all your picks. So that's why I was upset when they didn't trade Caruso in midseason for a first round pick or multiple first round picks, whatever the offer was. You could have traded Zach a little earlier. They waited to the trade deadline, and then he's like, "Nope, I don't want to go to Detroit. I have an injury. I'm gonna go have surgery." You know, Patrick Williams at the end of every year, he's always hurt, and then you pay that man more than Kobe. That makes no sense to me. This guy has no track record where you have Kobe busting his balls, literally learning new skills and taking a team on his back. So I just don't understand what this team is going to be and where it's going to go. The only thing I do see is Billy Donovan's going to run his actual offense now with the young guys, because I think he's way better with young guys than established stars. Because
Hmm.
when you saw when he had Chris Paul in OKC, it was a lot different. Chris Paul tried to run his offense, and that created a big rift between the young guys and the old guys.
Right. I, I'm still kind of beside myself about that deal. Just like potential could get your ass fired if you're not getting it, putting it together, man. Like I've seen I've seen very little from Pat Will to say, oh yeah, man, like let's go ahead and give him $90 million over 5 years. And I get it's spread out over five, but it's still like, is he worth it? Do you believe that he's on the cusp of breaking through and becoming the talent that the Bulls seem to believe that he can be. I just don't see it. I don't see the attitude. I don't see
He's no dog. There's no dog in him.
tenacity. Yeah, he's very meek on the court. He's very he doesn't have that nasty to him. And I don't know how you get a guy to flip that switch, especially, on a football field, maybe. You know what I'm saying? On a football field, maybe. But on a basketball court, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you would be like the guy. I know guys trash talk. I just don't know how a guy like Pat Williams at this point in his career turns a switch on and becomes the guy that they want him to be in Chicago.
There's no way. You had, Andre Drummond, who ended up leaving, which rightfully so. He played his butt off, being an elder statesman and playing limited minutes. I would have paid Andre Drummond, let's say 2/3 of that money to keep him here to be a mentor to any other big guys that you bring in. Let him play, maybe 25 minutes a night, and he's going to get you a double-double without even trying, without even running the offense through him. He doesn't need that. He's just a dog. He wants that rebound. He wants to play defense. He wants to go low post. That's what I want. And I understand the NBA is more run and gun at this point, but when you get to the playoffs, it's half court. It's really half court in the playoffs. It's really about, it's your superstar versus my superstar. And we don't have a superstar. We really don't. What are we going to do with Zach and Vooch?
Yeet. Like, just find a dealer and start dealing.
It's gonna have to be like a 3 or 4 team trade where everybody's just getting something. Yeah, gotta give something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Israel wants you to keep him. There's not enough ball on the court for all those players.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, you just gotta move on from this experiment.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like Zach's really a bad player. It's just he does not fit into what Billy Donovan wants to do. You can't dribble for 23 seconds and then chuck up something, and that's what Zach does. And if he's off, he's not interested on the defensive side either. So then he's a liability. It's, and I'm glad that DeRozan went to Sacramento, which is a great team to have him on, because you have somebody who's reliable to do that mid-range game where the rest of the guys can do run and gun. He doesn't have to be the number 1 guy or the number 2 guy. He's the number 3 guy now. And I really think that benefits him. So I just don't see like what the Israel got jokes today. He said, bring back Derrick Rose. No.
To retire as a Bull, maybe.
Yeah, that 1-day contract. That's about it. And we can hang up his jersey. I'm all for that. But other than that, there's nothing else to discuss about, bringing him back on the court. He can't do it anymore. He just can't. His knees are done.
No.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with some baseball talk, because I know Ivan's itching to talk about his Cubbies. They did good this week, man. They did really good.
Yeah. We'll be patient about it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be patient. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some baseball talk.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride. So do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15.
For 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to Nowhere on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with Big Z. We got Ivan in the house, and it's time to talk about our baseball teams, and let's talk about some positive stuff. And we'll start off with the Cubbies because they've been hot of lately. They went over to the Orioles and gave them the broom. Then they played their arch nemesis, the Cardinals, split that doubleheader, which was disappointing. But that last game, they put a hurting on those Redbirds, man.
Oh yeah. I was very disappointed in obviously the Saturday game, the doubleheader.
Yeah.
Very frustrating, even with them taking it on the chin in the first game. That second game, I still have so many questions with this bullpen. I'm very frustrated with how, and I can understand a little bit, and maybe I'm seeing it one way and council seeing it another way. But I feel like, he's trying to force some of these young guys up, like in situations where we need you to shut it down. And it just seems to me like they're not answering the call. And I know it's important to get them that experience and get them in there. But as of right now, sorry, I got the kid playing with the toys. As of right now, like they can't seem to understand that you've already given up so many games. Like you've already, missed out on so many close games that you needed in the first half. I can't have another game, to end. And obviously they won on Sunday, but to have the opportunity to win a series against the Cardinals and blow it, again, it just makes me sick. And I was happy they bounced back, but that Saturday just reminded me, I was like, okay, these guys need to continue to do this post break. Like that was nice. You swept the Orioles. You beat the shit out of the Orioles.
Yeah, it was surprising.
To be honest with you. And you were there and you were right there with the Cardinals pretty much, all but one game, right? All but one game you were right there with the Cardinals. I need to see more consistency. I know that they continue to say that they need to get healthier. They need to get healthier. The guys are going to come up.
That's every team.
I'm sorry, Jose. Like Jose, I need somebody that's going to make me feel comfortable, like make me believe when they come in, it's lights out. And we just don't have that guy. Like I like Hector Neris. I like Mark Leiter. Hector Neris and Mark Leiter are two great setup men, and we're missing a closer.
Yeah.
We're missing a guy to shut it down. If we had Neris and Leiter 7, 8,
oh yeah,
my God.
Oh yeah.
And then have a lights out closer. That's all I like. We would be the close losses, the late inning losses would be cut in half at least, at the very least, if we had somebody dependable in the back end.
Yeah, I really think that's been the Achilles heel for the Cubs. It has been the bullpen, the back end of the bullpen. Hey man, we'll trade you Kopech for a nice set of wings from Output. I mean, I'm good with that. You can have them for a set of wings.
You know what? I will buy the wings. I'll buy the wings.
Hey, man, he's a good pitcher. It's just that he's hammered by up and down scenarios. They're like, all right, well, we're gonna pitch you for 2 innings, and then he blows the save, and it's like, what do you want him to do? There's no defense behind it. There's no offense behind it. Everything's on his shoulders. Rather, where if you had Neris and Leiter like setting him up, like, oh, we got the 2-run lead. Hey, bro, go get another immaculate inning like you did last week. That's what you need to do. Be the monster and go ahead, empty out the gas every time gas tank every time you're there. Pitch 100 miles an hour.
Being on that team is killing him. That team is killing him.
Really is.
Israel, we could call Tyler. We could call Tyler Chatwood and tell him to stay where the fuck he's at. tell him not to come back home to Chicago at all.
No.
Actually, Chicago. I don't think Chicago's his home at all. But don't come here anyway.
Yeah. He's also mentioning the catcher of Colorado. We've been talking about that for like over a month. I think he's still barely coming back from the IL or still on the IL. So I don't know. Toronto is not going to give up on Guerrero at the moment. They're still gasping for a wild card. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen.
I think the Diaz. I think Diaz got hurt, if I'm not mistaken. The catcher from Colorado. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's on the IL.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then Pete Alonso. I think they're going to ask too much for a rental, and you don't want to give up one of your main prospects for a rental, not knowing if you're going to make the playoffs or not. So it's not worth the risk.
You could go sign Pete Alonso in the offseason.
Correct. Yeah.
This is where I'm at with the Cubs, and I think I mentioned it with you before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they are all in, right? I'm not quite sure. I think if their record said that they were all in, it would be a different story. You'd be hearing, maybe some movement. But I've always felt like the Cubs, regardless of what they were going to do, let me back up. I always felt like the Cubs, if they got to the deadline, right, they would look to really add if they were up big, right? But if it was like, okay, we're kind of, treading water, we're in first or second or third place. I never thought they'd be in last, but because of how close the records are, it really doesn't matter. But if they were just flirting, I always saw them as shedding some guys, like a guy like a Bellinger with a 2-year contract, or some maybe one other person, and then adding, and then really be ready to go next season if they were just kind of muddling. If the right deal came up and they were just flirting and they weren't as good. But right now, I don't know where they want to go. Like I think that they want to. I think they want to try to win and see where it goes the next. I think they're playing it month by month. It's pretty much a month by month for the Cubs.
Well, we got 15 days to the trade deadline, so I don't know what they're thinking because, we have this resurgence in the last 2 weeks from the Cubs, which is great. It's really great. But is it too little, too late to start buying? And that's what happened last year, where all the players went to the front office like, no, keep us all together. We want to make a push. I don't think they're going to do that this year, and I don't think that he's going to listen. I don't think Judd's going to listen this time. I think he's going to be like, you know what, Bellinger, let's flip you because you're going to opt out at the end of the year anyways. Let's see what else we can trade. Dansby, Swansbury, you can't trade him. He's having a down year. Morel, I don't want to trade him. I love the kid. He's been hot lately, and after we've been dogging him last week, but he's too much upside on that kid. He's too young, too much upside.
There's still that idea of it's still early. Like, look, I ripped them. You know me. I'm like, I don't give. I'm gonna rip them. Like it's real to me. Like, yo, and I was calling this a long time ago. Like, I over and over and over again, I've said it since the beginning of the year. It looks bad in the bullpen. If you could fix the bullpen, this team can really go. And let's say if you had let's say in those 19, I believe it was 19, like late inning loss or like some like something to that effect.
Yeah,
if you were able, right. If you were able to cut it in half, how many games would you be up right now? You would either be in first place or like in second place or close to it. If you cut it in half, you had eight of those. Right? If you put 8 more wins on your slate, you're not really worried, right? We're not really worried about a little slide. But because you weren't able to do that, now we have to panic and now we have to worry about how you're going to, MacGyver your way out of this little dilemma that you got. Because I don't think you have enough. If let's say, okay, Kyle Hendricks, for instance, is Kyle Hendricks on your playoff roster?
No.
Okay, now we have issues. Like there's real issues.
Yeah, I know he's been pitching great of lately, and maybe that bullpen stint kind of woke him up because he had like 7 scoreless innings, I think, his last start. But you're talking about, let's say it's like 18 or 19. You're right, and let's say it's half. And let's say that's 8 games, right? That makes them 55, and you take out 8 from 43. So they're a half game out of first place. Those 8 games.
Half game out of first.
Half game out of first. And that's insane. Let's see what it is. Israel's over here. He's got a lot to talk about today. Let's what he said. So you think the guys will PCA? I mean, he's young. He's young. And I really think that he's have to grow while playing, which makes it very hard to be a producer. I mean, he's coming in through the minors mid-season. I know he's very high touted, but I don't really think he's seasoned enough to start playing already. I think he was supposed to come in next year as a starter right off the back, getting a full season down in the minor leagues. I really think he needed more seasoning. I think he's going to suffer when the pitchers start figuring him out. Can he make the adjustment is the biggest thing. And you see that from young kids, like the kid they brought up from the Orioles. Everybody's all hyped about that. They brought him up, and then he sucked, and they sent him right back down.
Oh, Holiday.
Yeah, Holiday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Holiday.
exactly. Like
Jackson Holiday.
Jackson Holiday. All this hype and this and that. He batted 081. They sent him back down. You don't have enough seasoning. Major League and AAA are night and day. Guys that are in AAA that are veterans, they're working on different things. They're not there to win the games. The young bucks are there to win the games, and that's where, like, yeah, you'll have a veteran just throw you a fastball, and yeah, you crank it. So what? He doesn't care. He's looking for working on his location, and that's what people don't understand about AAA. Let's see what else. He hasn't given up on Morel. Yeah, we haven't either. I really like Morel.
I like Morel too. I wanted to talk about PCA. I think PCA is one of the guys that I can point to and be like, this guy is ready to break out in the second half. Not only because of the last couple of weeks, I always felt like even when they sent him back down, like initially, you remember that? Like he came up, then they sent him back down, and he came back up again. I always felt like I was like, why? Why send it? Like the way that he covers, you know what I'm saying, in center field? Like,
yes.
Why are you sending him to? He's saving runs for us.
Yes, he is.
Like he's saving these runs with his defense, and then not to mention, you get him on base, the guy's gone. Like he's on second, and he will take third. That's how amazing his speed is. Now, if he could hit more consistently, like we saw some power over the weekend, if he could start ripping it down the line, maybe poke a few here and there to left field or down the left field line, like the kid could turn a double into a triple.
Oh yeah, he's got that speed.
He could turn a single into a double. Like that's the type of speed he's got.
Yeah, and I really think, again, PCA is great, and I really think that, again, I think he was slotted to come up with Kate Horton and Matt Shaw and Owen Casey and Toronto's and Ballesteros. Those are the guys that's the next wave of Cubs, and that they're highly touted. Those are your top 5 prospects, right? And then with PCA, that would have been top 6. Those are the guys that they were going to come in together as a group. Unfortunately,
is Ballesteros
first base catcher?
First base catcher, I could see him more of a first base.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing with catcher. Like catcher, I thought Amaya was going to be the guy defensively and, as far as game management and game calling, pitch calling wise, that was just going to be the guy. Like we could put him in there 10 years. We're good. I just had a feeling about him and the way that he was showing me like early, but now, man, oh my God. Like I don't know what we're going to do at catcher. Like, and I'm not even like, I'm under the impression that the Cubs aren't going to go ahead and try to develop one later. If they're actually going to try to push for something, I think they're going to go ahead and go get a catcher, go find a guy that's established or go trade for a guy that's established and not have to wait for another, prospect to come up that might potentially tank. And I'm not saying Miguel Amaya's career is written off right now, but there's lack of hitting, the lack of defensive prowess. Like, and I'm not saying he's completely terrible at catcher, but there's just too many times where I'm like, yo, why didn't you stop that ball? Why isn't that ball blocked? Why didn't you get, like, there's just so many things. And he's definitely not a guy that scares you with his arm.
No, not at all.
What is he here for?
I don't know what they're gonna do. No, they're not. William Contreras is over there in Milwaukee. He ain't leaving over there. He loves it up there.
No, yeah, he loves it.
Yeah, so I mean, again, you're gonna have to look at a veteran free agent.
So did Craig Counsell, and the power of the dollar said otherwise. So
yeah, he's like, oh, it's a lot nicer out here. Yeah, it is. And then they give no talent.
$40 million.
And then like, no talent. We spent all the money on you. Sorry, that's what happened. I mean, there's a lot to do with the Cubs, and I really think that they might end up being, a halfway seller where they sell off some pieces to try to get something for next year. I think they're going to start building for next year. Let's see, 47-51, 8.5 games back. They ended on an 8-3 run in their last 11 games. Good time to heat up. Too bad the All-Star game came when it came. Morel in the last series, a couple home runs. I mean, the momentum got stopped. So I don't know what they're gonna do once they come back from their little break.
Mhm.
The farm system. What you think of the draft? What did they get? They got Cam Smith from Florida State with the 14th pick on Sunday. And then the second round, they took an infielder, Cole Mathis from Charleston with the 54th pick.
I was pretty. I was happy for both teams.
Yeah.
I thought the Sox pitching, yeah, I like the idea of you going after a young pitcher, especially if he's ready to go. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He's
He's
a
ready to go.
college guy. He's ready to go. Um, maybe he's boom. He bursts on the scene. He's on the 25-man roster or 26-man roster
Yeah.
come next season. Like maybe that's something that like really happens. But for me, it's always a let's see how it goes with baseball drafts. Like no matter who it is, regardless if you're number 1, number 10. Mike Trout was like what, number 25, 26?
Yeah.
Like he
Something
was
that's-
somewhere 27, somewhere in there. Like that's Mike Trout wasn't a top pick, and a lot of guys that were top picks in the draft just really never
They
panned
fizzle out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
fizzle out. They never really reach the potential because what you're doing is you're going off of potential. And
Mhm.
it's like you never know how a guy's gonna adjust. You know what I'm saying? Like the comfortability, being able to relate to your teammates, stuff like things like that, like being taken out of a comfortable environment, things like that can affect guys. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like in baseball. So, I'm just it's always like be cautious, but I'm happy that we have like we've the you guys got a guy that I think is going to be ready for you now, which I think you need somebody like that.
Yeah.
And we got a guy in Cam Smith that I think, you talked about his grandmother being a huge Cubs fan, and
Mhm.
it just kind of, and like she's the one that got him into baseball and like stuff like that. And I'm like, hey man, maybe Cam Smith is one of those feel good stories, and Cam Smith is our third baseman for the future because honestly, third base, and I hope it works. Like he's one of the guys I really and I mentioned it before. I know you got to be patient, and it's hit or miss. But if Cam Smith can work out and be the third baseman of the future, I'm all for it. Because God, we need one.
6'3", 229 pounds was the top prospect coming out of the high school, but stuck his commitment to Florida. He went undrafted during that time, and then he had a solid freshman campaign with 12 home runs, 43 OPS, and was part of the ACC All Freshman team. So you're looking at a kid that developed himself and bet on himself. Like, no, I'm going to stay and get a little bit more experience with college, and I think that was the right move. Again, 6'3", 229 at third base. That's covering a lot of room. Nothing's getting by you, unless you have a bad back, and that's the only problem I feel that usually third basemen are a little smaller, they're a little more agile,
bigger guys.
Yeah, so
bigger
maybe he'll end
guys.
up being at first base because of his size.
But then again, you had guys like A-Rod.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah. It really depends how you condition your body
But
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
how you take care of yourself.
Right. Like you said, you got guys like A-Rod, then you got guys like Eloy.
Yeah. Yeah. Eloy's built like a house, and he's he's like a paper house. That's what he is.
He's like what was it, like a gingerbread house? It's got all the candy cane and shit.
Yeah, your kid's gonna run a Hot Wheel through it and break it. Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen. And then you got Cole Mathis is 20, hitting 335 with 14 home runs, 57 RBIs for the Cougars in 3 seasons in Charleston. He hit 324 with 24 home runs with over 1,000 OPS. He was a two-way player until last year and had a 3.45 ERA in 60 innings on the mound. There's a lot more two-way players right now in college, and that's kind of the hot thing. But what I don't like is that a lot of this college theory or the way they're being taught is just to throw as hard as you can. And that's why you see a lot of these guys having Tommy John so early, 17, 18, 19, 20, having Tommy John. And yes, you come back stronger now because we have the technology and we have all that. But I really think that's an issue. Instead of teaching these kids how to actually pitch, through scenarios and how to paint the corners. Go watch some Greg Maddox videos.
Controlling your arm slot, controlling where you know what I'm saying, like being able to, and I hear you, but also the thing is like, I feel like baseball, like you might be able to have like this kind of revert back to that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to be able to have guys throwing 89 to 93 being able to do. I think it's now you could have guys like the new soft toss would be like 95 to 93 to 92. You know what I mean? Like that's soft tossing in major league. Like that, like I'm adjusting because of how pitchers pitch now.
Yeah.
Like you got plenty of guys throwing over 100 miles an hour consistently.
Someone threw 108 the other day. 108.
Right. It's insane. Like insane shit. So it's like I totally agree with you. Like I think this, as players get better and as techniques and technology develops, right? And you're able to get stronger. I just don't think that they're taking into account how much faster your body is going to break down because you're doing so much more with it. Like I get conditioning it, I get keeping it healthy, stretching it, doing all that, icing it, keep, all that. But at a certain point, the body's going to break down. And if your body's if you're not one of those freaks of nature that can continue to do that over and over and over consistently, I don't know what to tell you. Like maybe it's time to adjust your approach to pitching.
Yeah. I totally agree. That there's no more Nolan Ryans. There's no guys that are pitching 9 innings and throwing 95, 98.
And then throwing another 7 in another 5 days or 9 in another 5 days. Like
throw another no-hitter like nothing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And he's drinking beer in the dugout.
Yeah, smoking those Winstons in the
Cowboy killers. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. Oh man. Speaking of Nolan Ryan, was a transition to the White Sox. And if you know what I'm talking about, that Robin Ventura beat up.
Oh yeah.
The White Sox are struggling. Obviously, and we beat that horse enough. But it looks like right now what Chris Getz is doing is probably a 4-year project of a rebuild. So do not expect to be winning for another 4 years. So if that is the case, you got to trade Robert. You got to trade Pham. You got to trade Fetty. Anything that's not bolted down, get rid of it. Get rid of it.
The lockers, the bat boys.
Yeah,
get the bat boys on there. What do you want for our bat boys?
Yeah, Southpaw, everybody. Everybody, hey, it's a
Southpaw. It's on the market. Southpaw.
Hey man, everybody's. It's like what is that? The Halloween store that pops up every September.
Oh yeah.
That's what they're gonna put a sign on outside the store. Yeah, they gotta trade. They gotta trade Robert. I'm sorry. The reason you gotta trade him is that you don't want to waste that talent. Right now, he is so frustrating because there is nobody to protect him. There's no one playing nobody's playing defense with him. I mean, Fan's pretty good, but Benintendi's just garbage. He's a shell of himself. And I know he had a good series last series, but there's no way that you do not get a good haul in the offseason. They're not going to trade him in during this trade season because I don't think there's enough data, enough analytics that they're going to say that how much he's really worth. So it's not beneficial to the White Sox to trade him in season. Unfortunately, they're going to trade Crochet. And I really, really hate that because that dude is a stud. A stud.
But how much is he going to get in return for you? That's kind of what you
okay,
like.
But
you could go ahead and
suspects,
you could,
bro.
No, I get that, but you can get ahead of a rebuild depending on who you trade him to.
Yeah, and I understand like his innings are already maxed out. You know, he's probably going to pitch like 4 to 5 innings here going out the rest of the year, if that. Probably skip a start on this and that. Yeah, what are you going to get from him? They're asking for a king's ransom, which is what you should do because he's only making $800,000 for the next 2 years. They try to re-sign him, and you know how Jerry and his little purse is the coin purse. It's on lockdown. He don't want to spend anything. He doesn't want to spend anything, and it's just sad because that's someone you build your organization. White Sox are very good at identifying good pitching. We haven't really drafted any good hitters since the Frank Thomas, Robin Ventura days. Tim Raines, all those. Well, Tim Raines came from Montreal, but we had pretty good prospects that we drafted.
Mhm.
We haven't done that in a long time. Abreu was a Cuban portal. So was Eloy we got from the Cubs. Robert, same thing, Cuban portal. Like, okay, that's great. You're identifying one or two Cubans here and there, but are you identifying good hitters? And I really think that they missed out on our draft pick. I mean, they got Hagen Smith. He's ready to pitch. I get that. I'm not mad that they got him, but there was a couple other kids out there that were ready to go. The only thing is that they were worried about that they had a high strikeout rate. Like your whole team has a high strikeout rate.
Well, that's kind of like. Well, then
That's the new baseball.
I'll give them this though. They identified that. No. I'll say this. I think they identified an issue, and they want to correct it because the Cubs had the same issues, right? The Cubs had the same issues: high strikeout rate, or cannot hit with runners in scoring position. I think with the team that they have now, they've definitely done a better job with that. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely a lot more double down the line, double to the gap, single driving and runs instead of hoping and praying that the guy hits a home run. Because that was the name of the game like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, that was pretty much what we were doing, just hitting the ball out, and that was it. But I think that the White Sox, they recognize an issue, they want to correct it. Now, correcting that is going to take some time because your whole team, like, you built this team to hit home runs. Like, you built this team to bomb. You know what I mean? Like Moncada, Jimenez, Robert, all the guys you had beforehand that were on the team.
Abreu,
Abreu, it's Anderson, all those guys that you brought, like you had on the team. Those guys were hitting bombs. They were hitting shots. They were hitting the ball out of the park. What happens now that the game is adjusted? You got to adjust with the game. So
I think they're going to focus on pitching on defense, and which is okay. But it's Wrigley and the Cell are very home run friendly ballparks, and the problem with the Cubs is they don't have anybody that's scary in that lineup. No one is getting intentionally walked. No one's scared of nobody on that lineup, and that's the problem. If you had a big bopper, then Cody Bellinger would do better. Suzuki would do better. Morel would do better because you would have to pitch around your big bopper, and then you'd be like, all right, well, if Morel slaps a double right after that, then that's how we win a game. It's the same thing for the White Sox. No one's scared about anybody on this lineup. Not even Robert right now. He's got no protection. They're just like, go ahead, hit a solo home run. Go ahead. Right. We're gonna score 10 runs on your pitch and your bullpen anyways, and that's what happens to the White Sox. They'll be winning for 4 or 5 innings, and then the bullpen comes in, and well, there goes a post game show. And if you watch the post game show with Ozzie Guillen and Chuck Garfien, shout out to Chuck, they literally say the same thing every post game, and even Ozzie's like, I'm just frustrated saying the same thing over and over. He's like, can you just play yesterday's post game and we can just go to the bar? Yeah, it's that sad. But there's nothing that, and I don't like Pedro as a manager, but there's nothing he can do if he doesn't have the talent to put out there.
Yeah, I can hear that. It's just Pedro. I think Pedro, regardless, is one of those like, I guess, sacrificial lambs.
He's a place setter. Yeah, he's just there before they get started.
Yeah. I don't think he was ever a guy. I think they saw kind of the writing on the wall of where they were going, and they were hoping to just retool instead of like really having to go ahead and rebuild. Because I think, like I said, from top to bottom, this team needs to be redone.
Yeah.
Like, and it starts up top. Like, I get you got Getz in there, but Getz, you got to do it different than anybody else that's come here. And if you can't do that, you need to just walk away, because that just shows you that there's somebody else in charge other than the general manager.
That's Tony La Russa.
Exactly. It's Tony La Russa who's got Jerry Reinsdorf's hand shoved up his ass, working his mouth. Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. So if that's the case, then Jerry, sell the fucking team, man. Sell the fucking team. Let these people be free of you. Like that's kind of where I am right now with the White Sox. Jerry's holding you, the fan base, and the
Yeah.
team ransom, and it's whatever Jerry wants, or he's taking a team. Like I don't get it. It's the guy. I'll just say this: you need to make a total rebuild and just a refocus of where you guys want to go as an organization, because I don't know what direction you're headed in.
No, and this reminds me a lot to when the White Sox, they started drafting well and they got Frank Thomas and Wilson Alvarez and they changed the logo, right, in the early 90s. A whole rebrand of the White Sox. And we got a new stadium and we're going to rebrand a new logo. And we got all these prospects coming in. And within a couple years, we were World Series bound if it wasn't for the strike. That, guess who started? Jerry Reinsdorf. How do you stub your own toe? Like, you're gonna win a World Series or go to the World Series against the Expos or the Atlanta, either one. But there was nobody stopping the White Sox with that team. How do you do that to yourself? And he's been doing it since he owned the team. It's bad. Let go of the team. Give it to Bezos. Give it to Mark Cuban. Please, Mark Cuban. Give it to Mark Cuban. That dude wants to win in whatever he wants to in the Dallas Mavericks. He's like, I'm gonna get a championship for this city. Hey, if he comes in there and changes everything for the White Sox, like, nope, we're changing branding, we're changing everything from head to toe. We're gonna have the best facilities, we're gonna have the best doctors, we're gonna pay for it. Change the culture. And I guarantee you that ballpark will be full.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. And nothing more we could say about the White Sox than to change what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Our second, what else did they pick up with the let's see, what, Caleb Braunmeyer, second round in 2024 draft. And then they picked up a pitcher. So Caleb was a shortstop. I think he's from high school. They picked up two more high school guys. These guys are like 6 years away. So again, and those sometimes don't even pan out. And I think they just picked, shot in the dark with a dart, see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to pay for anything. That's why they didn't draft in between those rounds as well. So,
Right.
So it is what it is. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back and we'll close the show out with what you watching that isn't sports. So we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride. So do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15
for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
What up? It's Martin Moreno, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast.
Welcome back to True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast with Big Z, and in the house we got Ivan from TTNL and Local Sports. Right? Is that what we're calling it? Local Sports.
Local Sports Tonight. Yep.
Local Sports Tonight. I'm trying to get used to it. I still struggle with TCSFs, man. I'm trying to be honest here. Yeah, man. We're at the end of the show. Let's have a little fun, and we usually talk, stirring the pot. But this week we're going to do another one where we do. What are you watching that isn't sports, Ivan?
What am I watching that isn't sports? I don't know, man. Like, to be honest with you, lately I've been watching a lot of news. But yeah, other than that, like as far as like movies go or like TV,
yeah,
I don't know. I haven't been really watching anything in particular. I've been
like watching stuff with your kids.
yeah. I mean, mainly with them, or like have something on for them, and I'm watching pretty much sports. Just I don't know. With work, I get home, the game's on. and that's pretty much it. Like I mean, I really haven't had a lot of time to just sit and watch other
Were you
things.
watching any of the soccer?
I have not. I have not watched any of the soccer. I have not watched any of that soccer. But I've saw the craziness down in was it Miami?
Miami at the
I
Hard Rock.
saw the craziness down there, and after the collapse of the escalator in Milwaukee, I was
Yeah.
just like, "Yo, bro! Like, where's the security? Like, what is going on?
Hey,
What was
if people
like?"
don't know what's going on, it was the championship for the Copa between Colombia and Argentina. Argentina being the favorite, and they have footage of just when they open the gates, and you see a couple people, getting their ticket scanned and going through, and then you just see everyone bum rushing the gates and just going past security. And the ticket takers are usually like their kids. They're not going to go after these people. There's people jumping fences. There was people breaking in through the HVAC system and sneaking in through there.
Oh yeah, I heard about. Yeah. They
Through
broke
the
through the
HVAC
fence.
system, the air conditioning. They were breaking in through there to get in. They were way over capacity. I think one of the president or owner of the Colombian team or something like that, and his son got arrested because they were trying to get on the field and they wouldn't allow it. There was just a lot of stuff. And if you didn't see the images of the escalator getting obliterated, it has the glass slides and it has the panel that rides up and down. That was all over the floor. It was just destruction. Don't expect to see soccer in that building for a very, very, very long time.
At least not not something like that. And yeah. Honest, who won?
Argentina won.
Okay, so all those Colombian fans did that shit for nothing. For nothing. You destroyed to lose. You crawled through a vent to lose. Nice job. Nice going, Colombia.
Hey man, yeah, I know that's how it is out there, man. That's how it is. Like soccer is life
Yeah.
for those national teams, and sometimes for those local teams that they have down there as well.
Oh yeah.
It divides families. It's worse than religion and politics out there. So I get the fandom, but at some time you gotta respect that you're going into someone else's building, especially if you're traveling from a different country and you don't respect the building. Come on, be respectful. I know, like Mexican fans would get in trouble because when they would play another team and they would the opposition team would kick the ball from the goalie into play, they would yell out "puto." They're like, "Oh, puto," and like they until recently now they started censoring it on the TV. And they started telling the Mexican fans not to do that. And they're like, it's just a tradition. It's just a funny thing that we do, and it's like, eh. I mean, do you want them yelling out something or you want them destroying the whole arena? Pick
Right.
your battle.
Yeah.
Pick your battle.
I think pick your battles here. I don't mind it. Like to me, that's like you're getting shit talked by fans. Like that's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's something that you need to be prepared for.
Right.
There's like regardless if it's lighthearted or
It's
if they're a piece of
lighthearted.
shit, yeah.
People think it's it's a slur towards these gays and so forth, but that's not what it's about.
Right.
It's really just it's making fun of the goalie. It's just
That's it. That's it.
yeah, that's
bro.
all it is. It's a good heart fun, but whatever. I have and I binged. I think it's like 8 episodes or 10 episodes. It's called Dark Matter on Apple TV. There's a bunch of actors that you would know. I'm not gonna go into explain who the actors are, but it was actually shot at it was shot over in Logan, it was shot in Wicker, and it was shot at Damon Bar. You know where Damon Bar is, right? By my house. On Damon and Huron, right south of the McDonald's.
Damon and Hero. Yeah, that
Yeah.
yeah. I know.
Right across you from Audrey's. Yeah.
Mhm.
So they shot in that whole bar, like there's a lot of scenes in there where they're shooting in there. And I remember last year when they, they're like, all right, we're closed for the week or 3 days, whatever, to shoot. And they made like a makeshift bar that they never even filmed inside across the street in
Right.
some little person's front yard. They made I was like, what was the point of that? But it's a pretty good show. Essentially, it's a physicist. It's a multiverse kind of thing, but without superheroes. You have a physicist that gives up his career to spend time with his family.
Mhm.
And then in the other universe, you have the same guy who picks his career over the family, and the guy who picks career over family builds pretty much like a machine that you can travel between universes. So he goes to this guy's universe, kidnaps him, throws him into his own universe, and takes over his life. So the guy that gets kidnapped and thrown into the other universe is trying to get back. So you have two different universes going
Oh,
on
I see.
with the same guy, and
So,
it's kind of
so like his evil self
yes,
threw
yeah,
him through his the family man into
yeah.
the all right, I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. And then it's shot all over Chicago. So like you see Logan Square, you see the Logan Square Theater.
Yeah.
It's shot in where else? Yeah, at the bar here. They shoot a lot of it downtown. It's pretty cool. I just loved it because as anything that's shot in Chicago, you're like, oh, I know where that's at. I know where that's at. You just do that. And it builds a connection. So it's definitely a show to watch. Let's see, we got some comments here. Okay. No, I do not watch Criminal Minds. Israel, that is for old people. Uh, Criminal Minds. Yeah, I know he's a Chicago celebrity, but I just don't watch Criminal Minds. That's like what old people put on Channel 2 because no one changes the channel. They just turn on the TV and then the channel
Criminal
never
Minds
changes.
came on.
Right. If you anything on Channel 2 is like they turn on the TV, you're like, oh, Channel 2's up. We'll leave it there.
That's me after football. I'll be like, I'll have like 3 screens on, and I'll be like, 60 minutes. What the fuck is this? Channel 2? What? Damn it!
Yeah, that's the only time I'm watching Channel 2 is for football. That is the only time. Yeah. Oh man, I think we did a good show, man. Kept it under an hour, hour and a half. So
Yeah,
um,
kids are looking at me very angrily. Like, Dad.
is it time?
But no, they're all right. They're all right.
All right, man. Let's jump off. Everybody, thank you. Israel, thank you for chiming in as usual. We appreciate you watching and supporting the show. Everybody who's watching, listening, thank you so much for supporting us and helping us grow. Please share. Please subscribe. Give us some nice comments on all of the platforms so that we can grow. Thank you to Ivan for jumping on. Really appreciate it. I know he's part of now part of the 606 family, and you'll see me on his show, and he'll be on our show. So you look out for his show on Fridays, and anytime any breaking news happens, he'll jump on. So thank you to our listeners sticking us, supporting us through 203 episodes. Really appreciate that. Thank you to our sponsors, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, Grit Clothing Company. You know where to get the shirts. If you got a comment, question, you can hit us up at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. And I think we'll leave it here, and I'm gonna go watch the home run derby. I know you are too.
Oh yeah, I'm up now. I'm a little ahead of you. That's why I haven't said anything.
Oh no, I got a recording. Do not say a word. That's
I'm just gonna shut up. I'm just gonna shut up. All I'm gonna say is Pete Alonso's up now. That's all.
Oh, that's my front runner. That's my front runner.
Okay.
All right, y'all. For Ivan, I am Big Z. We'll see you next time for episode 204. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.